Going. All right, we are live. Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to another TGN Live. Today I have my very good friend Brandy from Travel Nurse 101 here to talk about one of the more complicated side of traveling, which is dating. If you're opting for that, if you're not and you're just a solo traveler and you want to live it up, keep doing it. It's less headaches. I highly recommend. Maybe not dating until you're ready. But first, with Brandy being here, I want to congratulate Brandy on winning the Best Nurse Mentor from nurse.org. Oh my gosh, Brandy, what an amazing award to have. Much deserved. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I literally thank you all for everyone who voted. I mean, just an incredible honor. Literally, I couldn't believe that y'all picked me. So thank you so much. I mean, it's really a great honor and to be a part of that community and especially since you're voted on by your peers. To me, I'm like, that's even better. So, and thanks to nurse.org too for even recognizing, nurses and healthcare professionals in our community.
Yes, I love it. Lots and lots of great people on that list, and just so happy that you made it to the top. But everyone is great. It was just amazing to see. So, and I'm so glad I get to call you a friend.
Me too. Likewise.
Well, let's dive in dating. So, why should you date as a traveler? I know it might sound like a crazy question. Your schedule's crazy. You're working so many hours, but Brandy and I were talking, and we think, a good reason is, you get someone to do activities with. You are there alone, and this can also apply for friendships too. So you don't have to just do like, oh, this is strictly dating like this if you just want a friend or anything like that. So it's nice to find friends or a date to like to go on activities with, someone to show you around town, and then also combat loneliness because it can be a little lonely, and it's nice to have human interactions. You can talk to your friends and family on the phone and FaceTime, but getting that personal connection is pretty nice.
Totally. I know. I honestly, so many times, I want somebody to just have something to go do something fun with, and if it turns into something else, so be it. But it's really great to have other friends and, in the community that you're at to go do fun things with so you're not alone.
Yeah, especially like dinner. Oh my gosh. I'm like, there's times I'm just sitting there, like here alone, and I'm just like, I would really like to go to dinner, but I don't want to go sit by myself. But on the other hand, if you do go to dinner by yourself, you might find somebody that's eating dinner by themselves too. So be open to doing things by yourself until you find someone to go do things with.
Yeah, and travel nursing too, makes you kind of step out of that comfort zone and be like, okay, I'm going to step out a little bit and I'm going to go do these things on my own. I'm going to go to a movie by myself. I'm going to go to this event. I'm going to go sit at the bar by myself. And usually almost every single time that I've done that, I've usually met someone. And I'm like, I'm so glad that I did that. I made a new friend or, whatever. People usually will talk to you, but you do have to be like, all right, I'm going to step outside of my comfort zone and be willing to kind of put myself out there a little bit and just go do this alone. What do I have to lose? Type
Right.
attitude.
Yep. Lately, I've been thinking, I'm like, do it for the bit. Like, if there's someone that I'm like, oh, I want to tell them, like, they have a great smile or like that they seem really nice. Like, I'm just like, just go do it because all my friends are taken. They have like friends or like kids and the family. And so I'm like, you know what? Here's a good story to tell my friends. Like, guess what I did? I went up to someone at the bar and told them that I like their hat. It's something like that where it's just like, just do it for the bit. And we end up having a good story from that. And then they get a good story too.
Wow, thank you. We should do that more too, just compliment each other. And we need more of that in our world right now.
Yep, I agree. And then this is kind of segueing, but every day I like to wake up and be like, how can I be a blessing to someone? How can I compliment someone? And so with that mindset, you meet tons of people that way too. It's just like, how can I know as like, in healthcare, you're helping people all the time. But thinking outside the box, opening the door,
Yeah, just the little things that matter. And you never know what someone else is going through. They could be literally having the worst day of their life and their mental health is really bad or whatever. And you saying one thing to them, be like, oh my gosh, they did notice me. Someone does care about me. Like, wow, I do look pretty today. Like,
Yeah,
all the things. So I'm really big on that too. I love that so much.
100%. So moving on, so the ins and outs of dating for travelers in 2025. So I want to say an in is definitely communication, regardless if you're long distance or anything like that. No matter the circumstance, you want to have clear communication, even friends, family, everything. I know we all used to be like people pleasers and want to, like, oh, I don't want to overstep and I don't want them to know how I'm truly feeling. But I think that communication is in. We are telling people how we feel.
I love that. Yeah. Like just be open and honest. Like everyone appreciates that. You're not wasting anyone's your time, their time. Just be open up front. That is totally in. I agree.
Yep. And a lot of times, like, especially like if you're texting or, talking, not face to face, that communication can get a little disrupted. So, just asking like, hey, what did you mean by that? Why did you put okay, period, instead of like, okay, okay, or something, like,
K. Just a K.
okay,
No,
don't hit me with the K, please. I will have a meltdown.
me too. I'm like, you did not just K me.
Right? So, and then even asking like, hey, why did you just say K? And they're like, oh, sorry, I just like had to step out really quick. K was the quickest answer I could give you. Nothing's wrong. Don't do anything irrational, please.
I know. I read so much into stuff too. Like I'm an overthinker. And so I'm like, I'll sit there and like reread the text and be like, well, what did they mean? When really I should just be like, okay, hey, ask them directly. What did you mean? Or, if you took it like a wrong way, for sure. Oh my gosh, my puppy is trying to come say hello. This is Fitz, everybody.
Oh my gosh.
Puppy love.
So cute. If you can't find a man or a woman or whoever to keep you company, get a dog.
Yes. I can give you all the insights of owning a new puppy too. What was I thinking?
Next time. Next time we'll talk about puppies.
Yes.
An out, I think, is plain hard to get. You, especially if you're only there for a couple months, you have a limited time in this location. There's no fun in like going back and forth and playing like the cat and mouse game. I'm not going to text them for 2 days. If they don't text me for one, you're not there very long. If you really like them, text them. And if they want to keep on playing that game, then on to the next one. Because nobody has time.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Like I recently had an experience personally, and I was on, I don't even remember, I think Bumble, like for my age works a little bit better at my current location. Hinge doesn't, which we're going to talk about dating apps more too. But I had saw this guy, we matched, and I've seen him out in public like a couple times from a distance. And I was like, well, he's cute. And we like matched and we sent messages back and forth. And I'm one of those people that I'm like, hey, like, I do not want to sit here on this dating app and send this endless amount of just these nonchalant back and forth. I'm like, hey, let's send a few messages and then let's meet up, if it's like progressing. And so, and I also don't get on there very much. I mean, I know a lot of us healthcare professionals, we're super busy, and so I'm like, hey, I'm just telling you, I don't get on here much. And I kind of put myself out there and told him that. I'm like, just went ahead. I'm like, hey, like I'm about to do a big stretch. Here's my number. Like, if you want to just text. And I've always had really good luck with that. And like guys have just like almost instantly texted me like, hey, this is so-and-so. And then we just start texting and then we meet up. Well, this guy just continued to message me on Bumble. He never text me and was like, good morning. And like send me a selfie. And I'm like literally like, no, I do not have time for this back and forth just these little messages. I don't know. It's just not my vibe.
Yeah. Like little pen pals. Like I don't need a pen pal.
I'm not looking for a pen pal. Honestly, nah.
Yeah. I would say another in is being your true self. I know like first dates, you're like nervous and you want to like impress them and all that stuff. But I think once you get that out of the way, I think definitely being your true self, because I think that'll lead them to be their true selves. And then also like, you don't want them to be like, oh, I thought you were this way and you're actually this way, or, that kind of stuff. So I think definitely be true, be clear about who you are, and travel and
agree. And like, just, I think like we just need to be authentic. Like, I mean, it's the same thing, but in everything that we do, people are really searching for that these days. They don't, on social media, all the things, like they want to see, they would rather see you being your true self, no makeup, whatever, than being something that you're not. And so that's really the vibe out these days, is for sure. Just be you. They're gonna find out anyways, right?
Yeah. And you don't want to get like, almost your assignment's almost over and like, yeah, I'm leaving and this is actually how I truly am. Bye. And then, all of
just
that.
Give them all your red flags up front. I'm just kidding.
Here's my notes app. Let me share it with you. These are my red flags. And then here's my good qualities. Please look it over. Wow. How are we meeting these people, Brandy? How
are we meeting these people? Well, for me personally, the biggest thing, I think that it's been like successful for me as a travel nurse, is literally just following my heart kind of, and doing the things that I love to do has worked best. The things that I enjoy, it's not always just at bars. It is, maybe like for me, I love hiking. I love the outdoors. And so I've done a few like meetups with different clubs of just people that are like-minded, if your same interests. And for me, that's been like the number one way that I've met other people, other friends, people to date. And you already know a little bit like, hey, they like what I like. Pop it. He's like trying to dig in my couch. And then like we briefly talked about too, it like dating apps obviously is a really great way. And like Bumble has Bumble Friends too, which I really love. You don't have to just be like all about dating. You can also just make friends. And anything that you love to do. Like I've also, one of my big goals for 2025 is also just kind of like stepping out of the box a little bit and trying new things, trying new hobbies and stuff too. Yeah. So I've been like wanting to take a cooking class or, something like that. And so you just never know who you'll meet. Again, that kind of goes back to meeting people, doing the things that you love to do. But I think that also helps show your authentic self more when you're in those type of environments where you are like, I love doing this, and you're going to meet other people that like the same. And obviously like your gym, I know Rachel has met some hotties at the gym before. I'm fighting for my life usually, so I am not trying to meet a guy at the gym, but.
Oh my gosh. No, so. We won't talk about the gym bros, but yeah, no, I totally agree, because where you're gonna meet them is like, a lot of times, you might meet them at the bar, but like you have to make sure, like, do they live at the bar? Do they live at the club? And all of that. So I completely agree. And just stepping out of the box, but don't, they say go meet your husband at like Home Depot or like Lowe's or something like that, or just like really random spots like they go to like Target or Home Goods. But it's like, that's still not like really reliable. So go to a place that you actually enjoy, and not just like where there might be like hotties like at the gym or something. So
right, I love that. You brought up Home Depot, like that makes me laugh. I even like did a reel about it. It was so funny, but I was like, I took my puppy when he was a little bit smaller and put him in the basket because, he can go to Home Depot. Yeah. And I'm like, when you go look lost at Home Depot looking for your dog dad, and literally taking my puppies, and like so many guys were like, oh my gosh, cute puppy. And I'm like, oh, I'm looking for the nails. Do you know where they're at?
Oh my gosh, that's
it was so funny. Literally, I honestly, like, I saw a lot of cute people out that day. I was like, me and the puppy may try this again. So
right. And it's a good, like, get something that can like start the conversation. I know my one friend, she loves like bands, like, just like low key like bands, like not huge, like indie bands. And so like if she sees someone with a shirt that a band that she likes. Oh my gosh, great shirt, great band. Wear something that's like a conversation
Oh,
starter.
that's a good idea. Yeah.
And like pets and just different things that indicate, like if you hike or if you go kayaking, like you have something on your water bottle, like, oh yeah, you do that too. So maybe don't be so plain, and then have like some conversation starter.
Yeah, totally. And then sometimes, I mean, I just obviously will take my laptop and go to the coffee shop, hang out,
Okay.
read a book, other like local hangout places. And then also like volunteering in like local community groups. Not only are you helping your community, but it's a great place to meet people. I know that as healthcare professionals, I mean, we feel like that's what we do all day, every day, but it's still a great opportunity, to volunteer and that sort of thing. You never know who you're going to meet in those places. Also, TravCon is a great place. I mean, we know that any type of traveler meetups, like the Traveler Take, you're always having meetups and different things with other travel nurses in that area. And I love all of those communities as well, because it's just such a great place to meet other friends. And usually, like, they continue to meet up and travel together year after year.
Yep. It's round after rounds, and then sometimes you see your crush every year at TravCon, and you're like, maybe this is the year. Maybe this is the year I will come up and talk to you and say hi to you.
I love that, and you finally got the nerve to do it.
Yeah. So I think that's fun, especially TravCon. We've had a few engagements, a few weddings. People find love there, and then they travel and they hang out, and so that's another great spot. Also Vegas, I don't think you'll really find love in Vegas, but you will be in a very happening spot that you might find love. So
yeah. What are some of locations that you think, are there like some cities or stuff that you think are better than others to meet people if you are single?
Yeah, I would say bigger cities, which if you're not a big city person, don't worry. You might have your Hallmark moment of like going to the farmer's market in the little small town and find your man or woman working at the flower shop, and love will last there. But the bigger the city, the more options to go out and about, to have more like activities like hiking club, kayaking, all that kind of stuff. So a big one, Austin, Texas. That one's fun, youthful energy, tons of music. So if you love music, outdoor activities, huge single scene. Which you're from Texas, and you can kind of attest to all the fun that you have.
I know, I love, and I'm from Fort Worth, so I'm kind of partial to Fort Worth. I'm like, don't Dallas my Fort Worth. Like, I love the vibe in Fort Worth, and it's come such a long way. Like, and I hope doesn't offend anybody. And I like Dallas too, but it's just a little more like crowded and busy, but it's great to go like for some different things. But Fort Worth is honestly up and coming. It is so great. Really? It's a little bit like of a chiller vibe, which I love. And so they also have the stockyards and all of these really great restaurants and stuff like that too. So
that sounds nice.
Don't leave that one out. It's a great one.
Yeah, especially if you're like, oh, Austin's getting too big, which I've heard it's getting quite big, and then Dallas and all that. So Fort Worth, everybody. Next up would say San Diego, beachy, active, a mix of all kinds of people. Same with like San Francisco. That's a very like lively, like California location. Denver, which I think you've had an assignment in Denver. So great for outdoors, the breweries, lots of people. Lots of fun and work there too.
Yeah, just like lots of like a very active community too. I think it depends on what you personally like to do, but if you're active and you like outdoorsy places, then that's obviously where you're going to meet those kind of people. But if you're like, you know what, I love the nightlife, I love going out and arts and culinary, you may pick some, place like Austin or other places like that.
Yeah. Another like very musically place is Nashville. So if you're wanting to stay away from the West Coast and you want to kind of stay over yonder by me,
Yonder.
yonder, yeah,
Yonder by Nashville.
you can go to Nashville, and then of course Seattle, Washington. That one is a really big spot too. Coffee shops, hiking, and it has a great hospital system from what
I love Seattle and just like the culture and diversity and all of those things. I love that city. It's so cool. It's one of my favorite.
I love it. Which, anywhere you go, you can find probably somebody. So you don't have to go to these big ones. But if you want to have like quite the experience too, it's nice to date somebody in that city because there's so much to do in all of those that it'd be nice to have like a little bit of a tour guide to
Yes. That's awesome. Like, yeah, they can show you around where all the locals hang out. And I always love being like, okay, where do the locals go? That's where I want to hang out.
Yep. Nope. I remember because you and I, we went to Charleston, South Carolina, and we went to, what was that area? That was like more of the locals. You stayed there.
Oh my God. I can't even remember.
It's
across the bridge.
It's across the bridge, and everyone is probably like screaming, like, we know what it is. But yeah, that was fun. And we went to a very fun local hangout spot, and
we did. That was so fun. That was one of our like very first vacations together, but also like a work vacation. We went to a student nurse conference, which was so fun. It was one of my very first speaking sessions too. So I was so nervous, but it's so crazy even talking about that. Like, no, it's not really related, but I didn't even know I was planting seeds. I mean, that was 3 years ago. And these sweet students were all in nursing school, and they're now like out of nursing school. They've had their job for about a year, and they're all starting to look for travel nursing now. And so several of them have reached out to me, and they're like, oh my gosh, do you remember me? I met you at that Student Nurse Association in Charleston. I was like, wow. Like, again, you just never know where you're going to meet people and how you're going to continue to stay in contact with them. That's the great thing about travel nursing, travel healthcare, is you meet people all over, and then you have literally connections all over the United States that you can reach back out to and talk to and make lifetime, friends and networking. It's so awesome.
Right? An Instagram viewer for life. I've been seeing all these memes where people are like, oh, another date that didn't go out well. Now I have an Instagram viewer for life that will randomly like my picture.
That will never comment. That'll just be a creeper on my stories, but never likes or comments anything.
But these ones that are following you are quality people and people that you've inspired because you are the best mentor.
Oh, thank you.
Voted by nurse.org. So it's true. Okay, so when you meet these people, you need to have a conversation, and you can have your normal conversations, where you're from, all that stuff. But a lot of times, like, you can kind of treat it like an interview if you're really looking for somebody. So there's like some questions that you can ask. We lost ourselves for a second. We're back. Okay. My screen just went black, but it's moving on. Anyways, so some low-key casual questions to gauge if they're the right person for you, if it's just like, oh, you're just a fun little fling, or if there's somebody that like you can like picture yourself with. So something that like you can ask, like, have you lived here your whole life? Have you ever thought about moving? That's going to gauge like, they're like, nope, I have roots here. My family business is here. I'm staying here forever. Now they're not going to travel with you, and you might have to settle down. So weigh your options with that.
Yeah.
Do you like to travel? That helps you answer. Are they going to fly out and see me when I'm across the United States, or do I have to always come see you? Are you a casual dater looking for something serious? Depending on what you are, that answers like, okay, do I go full forward and kind of lead them on and be like, yeah, I'm looking for something serious too, but I'm leaving in 2 months. Sorry, bye. And break some hearts. Some other ones. What's the longest trip you've ever taken? So like, are you okay with being gone for 2 weeks? Did you love it, hate it? Tells you like, how open they are to the nomadic lifestyle, or if they're more of a homebody where they're like, nope, a weekend away is good for me. I'm not going to Bali with you for a month, ma'am.
They're just looking for a vacation buddy.
Right. Yes. Another question, if you could live anywhere for 3 months, where would it be? So you can kind of see where, if you're completely a West Coast person and you're like, I only like being over there, I like the warm, and they're like, yeah, I wouldn't mind, Maine in the middle of winter or Alaska, then you're like, I'm not a winter person. So
or Montana, where it's literally like -10 degrees here today, guys. I'm so over it. I'm like, please, summer, hurry up. I can't deal much longer. I need some sun.
Same. Maybe you need a vacation.
Oh yeah. Always.
How do you usually keep in touch with friends and family when life gets busy? So do they completely go? I have one friend that goes radio silent. I won't hear from her for like a week or two. So if you can't handle that, don't find someone like that. But that kind of explains, with the long distance and busy schedules, it tells you, if they're like, oh, I'm in constant communication, no matter how busy I am, I will pick up the phone no matter what, then, that tells you what type of person they are. What's your ideal weekend? So city, exploring the city, relaxing at home. That gives you an idea, when you guys are hanging out, what would you do on the weekend? So that kind of helps. And the big one, have you ever done or would you ever do a long distance relationship? So that's kind of you segueing, which Brandy, I know I've seen people have conversations where they're like, I tell people right away that I travel, or I kind of keep it on the down low. What are your kind of
told y'all he was gonna I definitely I've had both experiences. I think it kind of depends on what your goals are at the time, like what you're looking for. And then also it's nice to just kind of see what their goals are. And maybe like the first time I meet somebody, I feel like I'm a little more like nonchalant. I'm like, you know what? And this is just kind of the person I am in general. I'm like, I'm just going to go into this as like, I'm trying to make a new friend. Right. And if something else becomes of it, then so be it. And so sometimes we'll just go meet them and maybe not divulge everything. If they obviously ask, I would like never lie. Again, we're not in this to like waste each other's time. But, sometimes I'm like, I want them to meet me and just kind of get a sense of how they feel about me before I'm like, oh, hey, by the way, I dropped the bomb that I'm a travel nurse and I'm only going to be there for 3 months, because I feel like things change. You can extend, which that's happened so many times. I met a guy here in Montana several years ago when I first came here. And I ended up extending here almost a year.
Oh, wow.
And so you just never know. Like you can extend, or potentially like maybe you're in a situation where like, you know what, like I love traveling, but I'm kind of getting ready to settle down a little bit. Maybe I would stay perm at this location or somewhere. We can always, if you like find someone that you really hit it off with, we can change kind of like our direction a little bit to include them in that, if that's what your goal is. I know when I first started travel nursing, I needed to do travel nursing just to like get out of my hometown and all of those things for myself, and really be like, you know what, like I'm doing travel nursing because I wanted to step outside of my comfort zone. I needed to do that for me way before I could ever settle down and date someone and be serious. So I know a lot of people kind of feel that way, where they just want to do travel nursing and have that experience first and then eventually maybe settle down. And that's kind of how I felt.
No, I agree. And according to Love Doctor TikTok, that gives you so much dating advice. Definitely you want to be comfortable with your travel career, your employment, all that stuff before you really involve another person. Because if you're like, man, it's really hard to like manage my own personal life, let's add somebody else that has like feelings that you don't even understand. If you can't even understand your own feelings, like to add someone else's feelings is just pure chaos and trying to, live on the road and all that stuff. So I would 100% agree. Like, make sure you're rock solid in yourself. You have boundaries because people are going to, everyone's going to push your boundaries. So, sure in yourself, boundaries, confidence in yourself, and that will help everything else go smoother because you got to work on the inner work before you can go out.
No, yeah, I totally agree on that too. But I also feel like we're never like, I always used to be like, okay, I'm going to start dating when I'm this or when I'm that, or when I lose weight. I need to lose weight before, that's like the story of my life. But like, it's always something that like, okay, I'll start dating when I do this or when I, and like, I feel like that's usually when you meet someone, right? When you're not looking and when you're not prepared. And there's never a perfect time, but being like mentally solid and like being grounded in that way. And, that's super important. There's other things that it's never going to be the perfect time, but definitely like having a true sense of who you are and what you're looking for, and that you're in a really good place again, before involving someone else is ideal.
I agree. But if it happens, it happens. Like you said, last minute. And sometimes like other people help you grow and this, that, and the other. So
yes.
Yes.
I agree. So a little bit too, like say you do meet someone and you're like, you know what? We are vibing. We've been dating. I'm really happy with them, vice versa. And you guys decide that you are going to stay in a relationship. I mean, there's a lot that comes into that in my experience as a traveler. So, I mean, obviously, number one is just communicate. So as much as you can, like over communicate, because I think that is the number one thing. I know we keep kind of going back to that, but the last guy I dated, honestly, like we lasted almost a year, which was really, really great. But we had this like openness and we communicated better than anyone I've ever dated in my entire life. So like now I also know like that's what I'm looking for, because I haven't had that with anybody else. And like even the hard things like we would talk about, just because like it's just so important. And it also helps you like connect on a deeper level too, when you just put it all out there. You know what? You're like, it is how it is. Take it or leave it. This is how I'm feeling. Those type of things. So definitely communicate. And then plan visits and stuff with each other, whether that's they're going to come visit you at your new travel assignment. You're going to travel back to them. I think too, it needs to be like a give and take. If you're constantly having to go back to that person where they're at and they're never coming to you, I feel like at some point that's going to cause some, like some animosity, and you're going to have maybe some resentful feelings towards that, because the effort, it should be 50-50, right?
Yep. Unless they're paying for the flight and you're getting those points.
True. Yes.
Just kidding. But
yeah, but it's still like you want to feel like they're coming to you too. And it's kind of nice when you plan something, maybe even separate of the two places that you're at.
Yeah,
like we're going to go to a destination and meet each other there. But I think it's also really hard too when you're having a relationships with somebody, and Fitz says yes too. Agreed over here. That like it's really hard. I feel like when you're not like living in the same area, because you're like, our everyday lives, do they jive when we're both here living in the same city day after day, and with all of the things that come with life, like all the frustrations and keeping up your cleaning, laundry, just financial stuff, all of the things, like can you jive in that environment, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're always on vacation together and it's not your everyday real life, it's easy to live in that fantasy. Like, oh yeah, we're perfect, but you're always living on a vacation. Of course.
Right.
Like, but you also know too, like, can I travel with this person?
Yeah.
which is
That
the hard part for me.
we've been discussing that a lot lately. Like, you're the only person I can really travel with.
I know, Rachel. I'm like, Rachel, do you want to go here with me? Because again, like, especially as you get older, we get stuck in our ways and we're like, I'm kind of picky. Like,
Yeah.
we're picky about who we give our time to, and traveling with people is hard. So that's
And
something you have to consider for sure. And then make the most out of tech. I mean, tech is huge, right? I mean, there's no shortage of options. FaceTiming is great. I feel like that's a huge thing I rely on is FaceTime, and stuff like that to be able to do with each other and see each other. Netflix party for virtual movie nights. There's on Spotify, you can share playlists and stuff like that. I think those are all really great things.
I think, too, this is just like with my friends locally that like they're busy moms and all that stuff. Like, we use the Voice Note app, and that is like I mean, all phones have it at this point now, where you just like leave, like, it's almost like a voicemail if nobody knows. I live on those, and it's just like a quick, like, hey, checking in, blah, blah, blah. And then like when I have the time to listen to like my friends that they send me, then I'm like, okay. So it's like almost like a phone call. You can still hear their voice and all of that, but you don't have to, do it in real time. You can get back to them whenever you can. So
I know, I love that. And that's one of the I love when you send those to me, because it's also nice to just hear each other's voice and not have to type out some long, boring text. We're like, hey, I'm just going to tell you this really, I wanted to tell you this really quick. So I love that personalization for sure. Absolutely. And then, kind of, I think what you just said really taps into this, but being creative, it depends on also what your partner, like, their love language is. But I know we love to get like little like handwritten notes or little surprises. It doesn't have to be like some big extravagant gift, just like a thoughtful little thing that that they're thinking about you. Like that, I love that. So it definitely depends on what your partner's love language is, but I think that is just so important. And then like tomorrow is one of it's not even really dating related, but you could always send them like a food surprise with DoorDash and Instacart and Uber Eats and all of those things. Like tomorrow is one of my best friend's birthdays, so I'm planning to send her Tips treats or nothing bundt cake or something like that. I've got to decide, but little things like that, or when they've like had a really bad day, you can just be like, oh my gosh, I sent you a little snack for after you post shift that I know that you so.
Right. Or like, I made you an appointment to like get a massage or anything like that, where it's just like, and even like when you're getting to know them, like the communication, like how do you like to be like pampered? How do you, like learn your love language, like send them the quiz, take quizzes together maybe, and to figure each other out more. I completely agree. And yeah, I think surprises, especially when you're like, they're so far away and you just like get a surprise. I think that in itself, like anything would, postcards, letters, I think that'd be sweet. Oh, you're on mute still.
Sorry. I think it's so important that you continue to like do the things that you love and have your own life outside of that relationship, to take care of yourself. Just really also have an encouraging partner really helps too, and understanding, encouraging, because it's going to take someone with that type of mindset to understand that you're a traveling healthcare professional and truly be understanding. Because if not, I just think it's going to be really, really hard for things to work.
Yeah, like with trust, and you want them to be like, you're like, oh, some girls from work asked me to like go out to eat and I'm so tired, and to have them be like, no, go, like you need to make friends while you're out there type of thing. Like that's the type of person I would kind of want to look for, just so that way it's like encouraging you to get out, not just like, just stay with me and FaceTime me and only focus on me, because that's just gonna
red flag. That's a red flag for me. I'm like, nope, I am super independent. You know what I mean? Like, yes, you have to have trust. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's hard, you know, especially in the world that we live in. But if you don't
Yeah.
trust each other, you've got nothing. So
And, talking about keeping your lives full, that's why you kind of want to find someone that has like similar passions to you, where it's like, oh, they really like hiking. That's great. You guys can go do that together. It doesn't like, hey, I'm going to go hiking with my friends now. Like, have fun, knitting. I don't know. Nothing
knitting.
against knitters, but, you want to find people that have similar passions. So that way, when you do spend time together, like, you can do it doing something that you both love.
Yeah, agreed. Totally. What do you think? Any other tips that you can think of for healthcare professionals that
Yeah,
want to
I
date?
think that is what, is the gist of it, I think, too. And, we meet people and they can be the greatest people in the world. And then they turn out to be crazy. And, we need to stay safe because this person is like a blank slate to you. The funny thing is like, growing up in a small town and you're like, oh, I went to high school with them. I know exactly how they are. And they were a player in high school and they're a player in their mid 40s when they should not be. So you definitely,
You know, you have 30 minutes, literally.
literally 30 minutes. So just, keep that in mind. Like these people, you don't know. And I think there's like, obviously like this not stigmatism. I forget the word. It's like that, everyone's like, oh my gosh, why are you digging and, being so nosy about these people? But when you don't know this person, like it is fine to do background checks and do some research, ask around. There is, I don't know if it's okay for me to say this. I might get kicked out of all of my groups that I'm in, but there's a group called Are We Dating the Same Guy, which they've been sued. It's kind of like Fight Club. You're not supposed to talk about these groups, but so if I get banned,
but that's a reality. Like, that's crazy that we could go to a group and see if we're dating the same guy. Like,
yeah.
what?
But I mean, it is kind of helpful. I go in there for entertainment purposes only. I don't, because if someone I was talking to was in there, I think I would just be like, done. Anyways, but it is like sometimes it's comical and sometimes it is like a little nerve-wracking because they're like, hey, I was talking to this guy. He was a love bomber. He flipped the switch. He has a second family. He has like all kinds of crazy things. And you're like, oh my gosh. Like, and to you, you're like, oh my gosh, this was like the best person I've ever met in my entire life. And then they treated someone else like total garbage. So that's something to be aware. And then on the other hand, sometimes I don't like reading about that because I'm like, gosh, what if they just had a bad experience, but then this person had some growth and all that kind of stuff. So keep that in mind. But you can, it's all over Facebook to.
That's why I got out of my hometown, was because literally, like, I'm like, which one of my friends hasn't? If I met a guy, like, literally, they've dated one of my friends. Period. I'm like,
Yeah.
or multiple of them. I'm like, okay, I've got to get out of this hometown and spread my wings. Yeah. And thank God for travel nursing.
100%. So, so do your research, ask around, ask, wherever you're working, like, hey, do you know this person? Do you like have any mutual friends with this person? I just want to make sure that nothing crazy is going to happen or they don't have a family or anything like that. So, proceed with caution on the Are We Dating the Same Guy Facebook groups or girl. They have them all up for everybody. And yeah, another thing too, think about self-defense, escape plans. I know that's like really kind of like scary, but just think about like, okay, we're having a good time and he's like, let's go back to my apartment or let's go here. And then look, even though they seem really nice, like look around, what are my escape plans? What if I get locked in a room. How am I going to get out? Because you never know and you don't ever want to be in that situation. So just be very aware of your surroundings, aware of, their behavior, all that stuff. I mean, you've probably seen it, in the hospitals and different places, people kind of acting crazy. So kind of do that same kind of assessment when you're meeting people, especially like drinking alcohol or anything that might, mess with your brainwaves and your
Yeah.
common sense. So be sure to, think of that. If they're
I'll
like, oh, it's
like
going
tell
to
you like what we have. Me and Rachel, like we share our location together. Like we share. And I do with other friends too that are like here in my town, like my best friends and stuff, like all like share your location, let people know where you're going, who you're going with, so they also can like check up on you as well. I
yeah,
think that is just for me, that is a big peace of mind. And then just someone knowing, hey, this is the plan, this is where I'm going. So they, can look out for you. Here's the guy or girl, whatever I'm going out with. And I think that's just huge.
And I think letting them know, right off the bat, like, yep, my mom, my dad, every single person has my location. Like, and you don't have to be like, hey, you, everyone has my location. Don't you steal me. But, that kind of is like, oh, that's not an easy target. And really, like, again, with the confidence thing, that's kind of a harder target, to get is like if they're confident and, not, they can see past the bull, then you're like, they're going to give up. But
We're
just,
tough. We're tough.
yeah.
And also just like trust your gut too. I feel like
Yeah.
that usually your gut will lead you right. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
always, other things I know we've done, Rachel, to be like, okay, we have a code word,
Yep.
like a code word, and like Rachel will call me and be like, act like I'm like, oh my gosh, excuse me, I have to take a phone call, and I hate to like be like that, but in all reality, like if you're in an unsafe situation, who cares? But
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my gosh, sorry, my so and so just called, and I had a family emergency, I have to go, like just to get you out of that situation. Too, like I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I think that's another out for dating is people pleasing and being like, I don't want to hurt their feelings. Like, your feelings are going to get hurt a lot more if you keep on, people pleasing and doing all that stuff. So I agree. And then two, we talked about this earlier with, saying if you're a traveler or not. You can be like Morgan Wallen and lie, lie, lie. And,
I love Morgan Wallen.
you know, you
I'm low key crushing on him lately. He can
yeah.
be my
Oh,
Valentine.
that would be great. But yeah, so you can lie, 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 and just don't offer too much information to people where you're like, yeah, I'm here alone, and this is where I stay alone, and this is where I walk out to my car alone, and this is where I work. So don't feel bad about lying and telling people, where you work and all that stuff. I've recently become very aware that like I need to lie more, and it's just like general, I live in a small town, so people see me out, they're like, oh, don't you work out here? And I'm like, I do. I've never seen you in my entire life, and you know exactly who I am. So I switch it up and like, oh no, don't work out there anymore.
Yeah.
But you just, people, just be aware, and people are going to say, weird things, and you can just be like, nope, that's not true. I don't go there. I don't work there. And
No
like,
idea
that's my
what you're
friend.
talking about.
Yeah. So don't feel bad about lying. I know we're saying communication is good, but some communication's not great.
No, yeah. I think there's a difference there for sure.
Definitely. Well, do you have any other safety?
No, I mean, again, just I'm a big gut person. I usually like can get a vibe from someone like even before I've like met them in person. You usually kind of know, but just again, just be extra cautious. It's sad that we live in the world that we do that, but you have to protect yourself and
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, and I think
Mhm.
too, talking to your friends, talking it out with your friends, because you might have those blinders on and your friends are gonna be like, no, that is totally wrong. Like, and don't talk to your enabling friends that you like text because you want a certain answer. Talk to the one that's like very stern, hard-headed and being like, yeah, they're talking about this, and they're like, no, that's crazy. Like, they should not be talking to you like about that. So
Yeah, totally. I have some like friends too that are like, sometimes I'm like, they're too cautious, but I'm like, honestly, no, like they like they cover their drinks and stuff like that. Like, but like that kind of sort of thing is so real. Like, I mean, when we went to Vegas last time, literally, they're like, I couldn't even bring my eye drops
yeah.
into some of the bars because people are like roofing people with like they're putting it in eye drop vials and stuff. Like, I'm like, I am so like out with the times. I had no idea,
And thankfully, Vegas has seen a thing or two. And, that is, I'm glad that they do that. And another thing too, like like if you're going to go on a date with someone, maybe call ahead and be like, hey, I'm going to be on this date. Can you keep an eye out for me? Or get there early, talk to the bartender and be like, I've never met this person in my life. And can you make sure nothing happens to my drinks? I don't drink, cut me off. Like,
yeah, that's a good idea.
You watch me, babysit me, please.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's another thing too, is just being very, very cautious and
yeah, and aware 100%.
And if anybody's like, this is probably my final thought, if anyone's like getting upset with you or defensive or anything like that, being like, oh my gosh, how dare you like cover up your drink in front of me, da 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 da, like, well, you're getting kind of defensive about this. Why would you be defensive if there's nothing to hide or anything like that? So, yeah, just do your research, look for some safety tips, self-defense, all of that.
Those are all great.
Stay safe and have fun. I think that's the most important thing. If you're just doing it just to have some fun and hang out, once it starts being not fun, it's okay to walk away. Within,
agreed.
Yeah.
Life's too short.
Yes. So good takeaway. If it's not fun, don't do it. And trust your gut.
Yeah. Not fun.
All right. Well, that is what we have for dating. I'm sure we could go on and on and on, but I think these are very important things to touch on. And if you have any questions or want any follow-up, follow-up topics, we're happy to talk about it. But we want you to all have fun, stay safe, and enjoy your Valentine's Day, even if you don't have anybody. Go to the gym. All the people that are single in the evening at the gym are probably, there. Or
we had a Galentine's night last night. It was so fun. Like, me and all my single girlfriends just went out to dinner, and my friend had a cake made and everything. Is so cute.
Cool.
So yeah,
I love it.
So fun. Like little things like that. You don't have to have a Valentine.
Exactly. And it's not that deep. Like, and I think that's another thing, like during the holidays, we get this like so hyped up where we're like, oh my gosh, I need a Valentine. I need this, and this. And it's like, you don't. And if you keep on hyping it up and making you feel like, you're just going to feel worse and more lonely. So, it's like, it's okay. I can be alone this season, and next season I will have somebody else.
Yeah. Or just work on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, keep your mind off of, and you get to go fill someone else's bucket that day.
Very true. I love that. Well, thank you, Brandy. It's always fun.
Likewise, always.
And we will be on again. We'll have a new topic and all of that. But thank you all for listening, and have a great week.
Awesome. Happy travels, guys.